The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style. From the highs to the lows, every story just explodes. Mike's got questions on the go, diving deep from head to toe. Every week the guests align, sharing moments so divine. Stay with us, the pace is fine. Every episode you'll find. The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style.
Hello and welcome to the Big H Podcast. Today's episode is titled Cool Colleen Conley. Colleen, you're going to be retiring from the Hilton Central School District in a few short days. How has life been on the end of your career?
Amazing. It really has. This year went faster than I had expected. I always look at September to Christmas as like the getting into it mode, you know, but then once you get past Christmas break, like January to June flies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been amazing.
Now, how many years have you been teaching?
Teaching 33 total, 28 here in Hilton.
And what did you do prior to Hilton?
I was in a small district called Fonda Fultonville. It's literally right off the thruway, exit 28. And it was a very small K-12 school district. And it's actually where I did my student teaching, which was really cool because getting my first job where you're already somewhat comfortable with the people in the community was pretty neat.
So when you were thinking about a career, I don't know when you had decided that PE was going to be your forte. When did that come about and how did it come about?
Well, funny story there. I was in high school and I always wanted to be a nurse. And I was blessed with living with my grandparents and my family in a flat in the city of Troy. And so my grandparents lived downstairs and we lived upstairs. And we started that right around when I was 10 or 12. And my grandmother went blind. And my grandfather had what they call TIAs, which are mini strokes. So my parents were awesome and always taught us to take care of others. And so we would, you know, take care of my parents and my grandparents, I should say. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed, you know, taking care of them and helping. And I thought I wanted to be a nurse, and I did. But way back when, my guidance counselor said I really wasn't good in math, and I probably wouldn't get a degree in nursing because
is that true? You weren't good in math?
No, okay. I can do basic math, but like anything beyond basic math, I was not so good at, like algebra, nope, stuff like that. So I kind of was sad about that, but I didn't want to fail. So I also had a high school basketball coach, Mark Pascal, who I always inspired to be like. He was an amazing person. We had a great relationship. I babysat his kids. He was my confirmation sponsor. And he inspired me to be a coach. I wanted to be like him because he was awesome. And I said, well, if I'm going to be a coach, probably phys ed teacher, because I always liked playing. I always liked being involved. I mean, you know, wake up, come in when the street lights turn on, and I was always outside playing, doing stuff. So I said, oh, I'll try being a phys ed teacher. And God led me in the right direction because I love it. So it was good.
Well, going back to where you wanted to be a nurse, getting to know you, you do have a very good sense for caring for people.
Oh, thank you.
Working with you at the scores table, you're a very good listener.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Got a good heart. Exactly. So you lived in Troy, you said.
Yep.
And you lived upstairs. Were your parents living with you upstairs? I might have.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your mom and dad.
My dad has since passed, but both of them are amazing humans. Strong, taught me good work ethic, and taught me that family is important, and they are. And my mom is today, she lives with my sister in her own little apartment off the side of my sister's house. And my sister takes great care of her. And my mom's going to be 83. Or no, she just turned 83, I believe. And she's amazing. Her sister, my aunt, is going to be, I believe, 92, and you would never know it. The two of them are spunky. They're actually hanging out right now in Virginia together, and my mom is amazingly strong, and my parents, I can't say anything better. They were awesome. I'm blessed.
Is that where your mom lives, in Virginia then, with your aunt?
No,
Okay.
she's visiting, which is
Okay.
great, because my mom and dad and my aunt and uncle, my uncle passed a year after my dad, they always used to vacation together. So to get my aunt and my mom back together again is pretty cool.
Oh,
I'm glad
where?
they're doing it. Yeah. My aunt lives in Virginia.
Okay.
My uncle is a retired colonel, so that's where their last station was. So that's where they stayed.
Who was the retired colonel? Your dad or your uncle?
My Uncle Don.
Your
Yeah.
Uncle Don?
Yeah. Yep.
What did your father do for an occupation?
My dad started off as a meter reader
Mhm.
for Niagara Mohawk, which is the east side of RG&E, the eastern part of New York. And then he built himself up to a gas mechanic. So we always tease him because back then, they didn't wear the earplugs, So we were trying to figure out if my dad had selective hearing or if he was truly going deaf. Because
Dads can have selective hearing.
Yes. So he ran the backhoe and the jackhammer, digging up streets. And I remember being a kid, always loved to ride my bike. And if my dad was on call, he's like, when you're riding your bike around, if you smell any natural gas leaks, let me know because I'm on call and I can go in. So that was like always the running joke. But
Right.
And then when he got closer to retirement, he moved up and became a gas planner. So he was the guy with the blueprints and trying to figure out where to dig, where not to dig, and all that fun stuff. But yeah, and he was in the Navy. He started off in the Navy before he did that. So.
Do you remember the days of when he was in the Navy? Like,
No, I wasn't born yet.
okay.
No, I don't know if I was even a twinkle at that point. So.
What was it like when he got out of the Navy? Like, did he still have those Navy military values in him? And I don't know if I really can cite what they are, but
I think so. I think my dad always is very respectful. He always had a clean cut haircut.
Mhm.
And he and my mom both were, manners, respect others, treat others as you would like to be treated, the golden rule, and yeah, they always, I wouldn't say demanded that, but expected that of us.
How old were you when your dad passed?
Just a couple years ago.
A couple years
Yeah.
ago?
Yeah.
And I don't think you ever get over the death of a parent, no matter how long.
No, but
how did you get through that? Who helped you through that?
I have a great group of colleagues who have become my family.
Mm-hmm.
And they were always there for me, and it's living out here. I don't have blood family, but I have friends that are amazing, and they have become my family. So
Look after you.
Yeah.
Tell me about your mom growing up. Was she a homemaker, or what was her occupation?
Yeah, she was a stay-at-home mom for a little bit, and then I can remember being in elementary school, and she became what we called noon aides, lunch aides, and she started doing that, and then as we got older, we moved to that house when I was 10, and we had to find a new dentist, like closer. My mom can drive. It's not her favorite thing to do. But so the dentist being in walking distance was perfect. And then she brought us to the dentist, and she did not like the dentist. She had a very bad experience when she was younger. And so she just sat out there and she wouldn't talk very much. And the dentist is like, "What's up with your mom?" And we're like, "She hates the dentist,
Mm-hmm.
So he was amazing. And he brought my mom back. He goes, "I won't touch it. I just want to see your teeth," because he knew dental health was really important to the whole human body, and he wanted to make sure she was okay. And he gained her trust and, took care of her teeth, which she needed to have taken care of. And then he hired her to be, because my mom was a secretary at one point, I believe, before kids were born. I know she went to school to become a secretary. So she had that skill of, being super organized and, phone skills and whatnot. And so when he hired her, she took over the billing and the dental things, and occasionally would, suck spit out of people's mouths because he needed help, but, and it was great. And she was very good at it. She's very personable. So it was good. And the dentist took care of her. And I don't know how many dentists do this, but like he began a little pension for her. So when she retired, she'd have some money. So that was pretty awesome of him to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, you were talking about siblings. You talked about a sister that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have other siblings as well?
I have a brother. My
Okay.
sister lives in Troy. She has a physical therapy degree. She currently is a real estate agent.
Mm-hmm.
And then my brother is a professor at Pitt University. He's a doctor of exercise physiology
Did not know that.
or exercise science, one of the two. But he started off as an athletic trainer, and now he is a professor at Pitt.
Do you see them very much?
On and off, but no, not so much because, my sister has her family, and now she has grandkids, and my brother has his family, and, two opposite directions. So
Where do you follow in the ranks of the three kids?
I am the baby.
You are the baby.
Yes, I am the baby.
Growing up the baby, were you treated differently than the older siblings?
Oh, probably. Yeah,
Probably?
I think so. I think I got away with a little bit more
Mhm.
because, I'd seen what happened, and but I was always a little bit different.
I also think, too, sometimes the parents are tired of parenting by that last
Oh,
one,
heck yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Well, I don't think I slid off the parenting radar, though. I'm pretty sure I'm spot on.
Well, which qualities do you think you get from dad, and which qualities of yourself you get from mom?
I definitely get my sense of humor from my dad. My mom's pretty funny, too, but
Mm.
my dad definitely have my sense of humor from my dad. And my mom, I think I have that strength, that my mom has, and I definitely look like her. I am not adopted, that's for sure. Not that that's a bad thing,
Right.
but like people see me and my mom next to each other, like, whoa.
Mhm.
When my dad passed, it was a funny story. We're standing, in the line or whatever, and a gentleman came up, older gentleman, and he puts his arms around me. He says, "Oh, Anne-Marie, you look so good." And I started laughing. I go, "Yeah, I'm the daughter, Colleen. Thank you." Next, she's over there, and then that was like the running joke, And my mom was like, "Who was it?" I'm like, "I have no idea." My dad golfed in like 3 different leagues, and between golfing and being a gas mechanic, I was like, I don't know who that was, but
Mhm.
that's like the running joke.
That's
Yeah.
a
So
good story.
yeah,
In a tough moment
yeah,
for the family.
yeah.
Now, you said that you lived with your grandparents and you had a grandma that was blind, right?
Yeah.
What was that like, taking care of her and how she approached her life?
You know what? It's funny. We took care of her, but she took care of us. Like, she didn't go blind until she was in her 60s. She went to get into a car and she hit her head on the door frame,
Mhm.
and it detached her retina. And back then, they don't have the amazing things that they have now. So they had to literally go in to try to reattach it. And like everything else, the human body, when you open it up, other things unfortunately naturally occur. And so that raised her glaucoma, and then it ended up the glaucoma went to the other eye, and she eventually lost her sight. But God bless her, she was determined not to. She was one of the toughest women I ever met, and I believe that has dwindled down to my mom and our family, and for that I will forever be thankful. She was always like my idol, and she learned Braille. She loved the movie Patton, and she watched that all the time. But she hears, they always say when one sense dies, the others pick up. That woman had amazing hearing, and she could, just like many blind people, hear a voice and know that's you, or
Mhm.
touch your hands, touch your face, and she knows that who it is. So she was incredible with that, and she had a great sense of humor. She always, my dad would tease her pretty good, and oh, your horse's neck. That was always like her funny thing, and we would like switch her silverware on her, or change her, tell her that your shoes, you got two different color shoes. No, I don't. She was mortified. And when I was in learning phys ed and stuff, you know, gosh, they used to cram their feet into those shoes, like the pointed shoes, and her poor toes were all like screwed up. I'm like, Gran, wear some sneakers, be comfortable. Oh, I don't know if I can, because she was so very proper.
Mm-hmm.
But we finally, with a little help from everybody in the family, got her into wearing sneakers. And man, she loved them. She was like, "Oh, these feel so good," and her toes were free. But anyway, she was amazing. She listened to the Reader's Digest on tape. She would get, she was determined to be successful. But it was funny. Whenever we went outside, she didn't really like to use the cane a lot because of where we lived. She didn't want to be a target. She didn't want a handicap sign in front of our house. She did not want that recognition, if you would say, to be a target. But she taught us how to walk with her, because there's a certain way that you walk. She taught us about money, like how to fold it a certain way, so that she would know what it was, and labeled her clothes. She was amazing. She really was.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, she was cool. Yep.
How about, so that was your mother?
My mom's mom. Yeah.
Mom's mom. How about grandpa?
My grandpa was, the dude could eat anything he wanted, and he was still skinny as a rail. He was a banker for Marine Midland. I don't know if that was out this way.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was my bank for me.
Yeah. Yep. So he was great, because I had a paper route when I was really young. And so he taught me how to roll my coins and, keep my money the way, everything facing the right way. And, he helped us all with like starting our bank accounts and stuff. But yeah, he was pretty cool. And I believe he was in the Navy as well. And he had a tattoo on his forearm that we were always infatuated with, and always had the clean cut haircut, and always wore I don't know if it's a fedora. Is it the hats with the brim? I think that's what you call them. But he always had a hat on whenever he went out. He was pretty cool. Yeah. And when he passed away, he loved brownies and Hershey bars. We put them all in there with him.
Did you really?
Yes, we did. Yep, he was pretty cool, but he loved those things.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were like, all right, here we go, Grandpa. So that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, sweet. I once was watching a podcast with somebody, and he said that in our society, we have to learn how to take care of our parents and our grandparents. Yeah. It sounds like you're really focusing in on that. What could you tell me about those years that you did have with grandparents, besides the great moments?
It was just awesome. And I really, I look back, the older I get, I look back, and I'm really thankful that my mom and dad took my grandparents in. I didn't really get to know my dad's parents. My grandma passed away. I was really little. And I remember my grandpa passed away probably when I was like 10 or 11. And so I didn't really get to know them as much as I did my mom's parents. But being able to live with them was awesome. And just learning, both between my parents and my grandparents, and my cousins would come up from Virginia, and we would have family dinners with my grandparents. And if they were going down to Virginia, they would fly, and we would sing songs to them before they left, and it was just fun stuff. It was great.
Were you born in Troy?
Yes, sir.
Were your other two siblings born in there as well?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about growing up and life in Troy.
We rented a house on 4th Ave and 106th Street. The laundromat was right around the corner, and we lived upstairs, and the yard had a bunch of trees, and I used to love to climb the trees. And then we had families nearby, and we would always go out and play. And my mom always knew if she couldn't find me, I was probably up the street playing football in the middle of the road. We were those kids that would yell car, and we'd have to shift off the side and then come back, ride our bikes and go to the laundromat and help do the laundry and run around like crazy and then go back home. And, it was great. Had a paper route, and that was pretty awesome. My sister started it, and then I took over and had a lot of papers in the city and learned how to manage money and spend money. Rode the public transportation, so it was great.
What size was Troy? Like, if you could tell me how many people were populated, or
It's bigger than people think.
Mhm.
And there's like a city part and there's like a country part. My sister currently lives in the country part. The city part has gotten rough over the years, but it's larger than people think. There's a North Troy, there's a South Troy, there's a city part, there's a country part. And Route 7 goes right up through the country part. That's how most people get to Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, up through that part. So it's pretty big area.
When's the last time you were there?
Ooh, couple months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, went out to see my mom. Yep. So
when you were growing up, played a lot of sports. So you even mentioned football.
Oh, yeah.
Would you have considered yourself a tomboy?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
That 100%. I was always, and I had some girls as friends, but I had a lot of boys as friends too, just playing. I'd go up in the park and play basketball in the park, and that's how I learned to be a better player, is playing with the boys. So,
What type of sports did you play in high school?
played soccer, basketball, and softball.
Did you excel at one more than the other? Did you like one more than the other?
Basketball and softball were my passion. Soccer was to get in shape,
Mhm.
and I ended up playing in Cortland for a couple of years, and that was pretty awesome. And then,
Played-
but yeah, softball, I was a catcher. That's why my knees are killing me. But yeah, I loved them both. I loved both. I loved all three, but soccer and basketball.
So soccer, you played at Cortland.
No, basketball.
Basketball. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your Cortland days.
Oh my God, such fun. It was great, and I encourage any kid, and that was kind of a nice part about being in the high school. I encourage any kid to go away, at least for a year, just to experience life outside of your family, to take care of yourself, to meet diverse people. Like, there's so many different things that you learn when you have to do it on your own. You know that you have that safety of mom, dad, family back home, but to actually be out on your own and problem solve and, stay out late at night and reap the consequences of what you did that night, the next day.
It's called a hangover, Colleen.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is. Yes. But realize that, you don't always have someone there to tell you that was stupid,
Mhm.
but you figure it out, and Cortland was wonderful 4 years. I met a lot of friends. I experienced a lot of things, and it helped me to grow up even more.
Do you stay in touch with any friends from Cortland today?
Yeah, here and there. But it's actually funny. My closest friends are from grad school, but yeah, there's a few that are out there that more now that I keep in touch with than prior to.
Where did you go to grad school?
I went to grad school at Canisius. That was my degree. But most of my work was done at St. Mary's School for the Deaf, because I got my master's degree as a teacher of the deaf and hearing impaired, on top of an elementary degree, N to 6, because I went to Mackay and took a couple of classes over there in reading and whatever. So I ended up coming out with 3 different degrees, which was great.
It makes you more valuable
Oh,
and
yeah.
more employable.
Yeah.
Did you end up in it with any positions working with students of the deaf for people?
Well, when I did my first 5 years in Fonda, and that's what actually inspired me to go get a teacher of the deaf. Fonda had a classroom, kind of like a BOCES classroom, that had um, deaf students in it, and it drove me a little crazy that I couldn't communicate with them. But that's the beauty of is phys ed is more movement based, so you could show them versus talking to them, so that made it a little easier. And then when I finished my student teaching, the woman that I was under, um, she said, "Hey, I'm looking to retire in a year. If you can get your degree done in a year, you know, you can come back and apply for this job." So I spoke with the woman at Fonda that did the deaf class, and she helped me find a degree, and it was great because I was okay in school, but I was no brainiac. Probably more because I love the balance of social life and education
You're
life.
so diplomatic.
Yes. So Canisius offered a deaf ed program a full year, and I didn't have to do computational exams. I didn't have to present a thesis. I just had to student teach all over, and that was a cakewalk. And that was in the city of Buffalo, and that was pretty cool. Again, different learning experiences and different kids and different cultures. And I went back to Fonda. I wasn't their first choice, which was fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
But the first choice person walked away, and I was like, hot dog, I'm in. So that's where I started, and it was great.
When I asked for a picture that I can use to upload, you sent me 2 pictures of you in front of Josh Allen's locker.
Yeah.
Dawkins to the right, Rousseau to the left.
Yeah.
Were you a Buffalo fan before you went to Canisius?
No.
Or did you become one?
Here's the funny thing. I was a Miami Dolphins fan for the longest time. I know. But growing up, again, going back, being a tomboy, I had a Dan Marino jersey, the Killer Bees. I followed them. It was my mom's best friend's son. He was a Dolphins fan, and we would hang out and play a lot. And he was an amazing wrestler. So his dad he worked him out, taught him different things, and then I became his wrestling dummy, and we would different moves, wrestling and stuff. So it was really funny, and so I grew up to love the Killer Bees. And then when I went to Buffalo, Sister Teresa, she was one of our main sign language teachers. She was a Miami Dolphins fan, so she and I
Bonded.
hung tight during the Bills games. And then the Dolphins got I cannot Johnson. He took over. I was not a fan of his, so I left them. And then when I moved out here, you kind of naturally become a Bills fan, or you're not very in with people.
And not much else to see. That's
true
all the
story.
Papers cover.
And my office mates, Amy and Lori and Andy and Craig and all those guys, they're all big Bills fans. So I'm like, okay, yep, I'll jump right on the wagon. And that picture that I sent you was actually a few weeks ago that was taken, where my boyfriend Tom is a football ref. And a couple weeks ago, Special Olympics had a huge flag football tournament called the Buffalo Bowl. And my connection with Unified Sports, I met up with a woman who was at that event, and she gave myself and my friend who's visiting from Norway bracelets to go down on the field, to walk around through the locker rooms. And we went in the interview room, and it was great. I'd never been there.
No.
And I honestly don't know how all those drunk people walk up and down those stairs. They are brutal. I was like, my God, I'm tired and I'm sober. They're huge.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, I guess maybe it's easier if they're a little oblivious to what's happening. But whoa. But it was a cool stadium, and I was glad we went. So we were taking pictures left and right. It was neat.
Couple of things that just struck me. So you wrestled with a guy friend of yours in high school?
Oh God, yeah, it was funny.
You would have been so successful nowadays, now that there's female wrestling in school.
Yeah, it would have been pretty cool. Yeah. But it was fun. It was fun to do. We always had a good time, and his dad was, he was teaching me at the same time he was teaching Jimmy. So it was neat.
You also mentioned, I was going to cover this anyways, unified basketball. And I think that probably enculturates your ability to care for people and be a nurse.
Yeah.
Talk to us about your experiences in the Unified Basketball Program.
It was amazing, and at the time when I took over Unified from Troy, you know, that was like a tough transition because I had just left varsity lacrosse, and I had a strong passion with that. But my daughter was moving up, and I wanted to watch her, so Unified was a good connection, and again, it made me realize like life is just awesome, and those kids see things in a different light. And if you take on their thought process of how they see things, it's a beautiful thing. Um, they are so thankful and thoughtful, and um, they just are happy, and I wanted to give them the best experience I could and embrace all their different things that they do. And they're funny, and everybody is different, and they're just a little bit more different than others sometimes, but they're awesome kids. And the partners that I've experienced along the way, man, they're going to do great things.
You are and were the perfect person to take over
Thank
that
you.
role. And congratulations on your Coach of the Year
Thank
for
you.
Unified
Appreciate
Basketball.
that. Yeah.
Very, very special for you. I got to know you at the scores table.
Yeah.
We would sit through some of those tournaments in the Christmas time, and it could be 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah.
And boy, could we get into some conversations.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I also learned that you ended up, cohabitating in some offices with guys. What was
Yeah.
it like being a member with the boys? Some of those PE guys, Gross, Andy Foreman.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It brought me back to when I was a kid and hanging out with guys, and Craig and Andy are just awesome. They're funny, and when you're a PE teacher, you have a different mentality, let's say, so some of the things that are said, you just kind of roll with it, and you laugh, and it's just fun. You just have to take everything with a grain of salt, and just go through it. But Craig and Andy have always been awesome to me, and I know the transition from Rich to me was very different, and that was hard, and I understood that, and so I kind of just bide my time and be me, and um it's any transition like that when you've been with someone your whole career, that's a tough thing to do. But like I said, Andy and Craig have always been wonderful to me, and they're great colleagues, and sharing an office with them was hysterical. And I didn't like the smell during football season because those uniforms were ripe, but it was always a good time.
Tell me about the females that you've worked with: Tara Marino, Lori Mambretti, Amy Santola.
Tara had her own office, so her coming down during her class that she taught, that was really not much contact with them as I had with Amy and Lori. And like I said, before, colleagues that become family, and those two, like, we just laugh at some of the dumbest things, but those are the best memories. It's just silly things, and they are good people. They are good at their job, and they help me because I came from elementary, so my thought process from elementary to high school, was different, and expectations were different. So they were great in teaching me the ropes of how to get through things and what was a good idea, and yeah, that might not work out well, so they've been awesome. That transition from elementary to high school has been the best thing I ever did.
Now, there's a whirlwind of emotions going through your mind, I would think,
yeah.
at this time.
Yeah.
If you were to leave anything to those guys or girls, what would you leave them? Words of wisdom, trinkets that may be their inside jokes to them?
Yeah, they do have a little something coming.
Yeah.
Yes, but words of wisdom is just be true to who you are. things are changing rapidly in the educational world.
Mm-hmm.
But just stay true to what you know and what is best for the kids. Keep that always in mind, and by doing that, I think things won't be as intense as might be coming down the pipe.
Mm-hmm. 33 years. How has PE changed over the course of your career?
Man, um,
You can think about it.
yeah, it's weird. Um, to be brutally honest, I think we need to go back a little bit to tough love.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're a little soft, and I think you know parents need to trust us a little bit more. Trust us to do what we know is best for your kid. And I know that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a parent too, and I get that. But, you know, we're with them 8 hours a day. We see them when they wake up, we see them when they go to bed. They share their thoughts with us. Let us give them that tough love that they need to become better people. Because when we're soft, we can't help them when they're in college or at their job or in the military. You're not going to be there. So giving them a little tough love now and helping them to be stronger, independent individuals, I think is the best service that we could do for them.
Talking physically or emotionally or
Both,
both?
both.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Stuff happens, and sometimes you're having a bad day, but you can't have a bad day every day. You gotta work through it. You gotta figure out how to get through that struggle as best you can with the help of other people, and let us do that. Let us be as best as we can with them, and then you add on to it when you're home. So
Very good advice.
thanks.
What are some challenges that the present day high school kid faces that they didn't 25 years ago?
Oh Lord, phones,
Mm-hmm.
phones. That has always been the battle in my eyes. Like, they're so addicted to that thing, and I get it. I love my phone too, but
I've seen you at the scores table.
yeah, yep. I love my phone too, but I don't think I had a great conversation with a student who we had a little battle about the phones. I'm kind of anal about the phone in PE. I don't want it, and I'm kind of hard about that. And she was using her phone a lot, and we taught you're going to get a zero, and so eventually we worked through it, and then Dr. Green put out a little like a test mod because knew what Kathy Hochul was going to do through the state, and gave some kids the opportunity to put their phone in the pouch, for a week. And this girl didn't know I had reached out to Dr. Green, and I said, hey, if any of my personal phys ed students do this, I'm going to give them 5 extra points at the end of the quarter. So I told this girl, she's like, oh, sweet. She was pretty happy. And then it was over. And I asked her, I said, hey, I'm just curious. I said, how did you feel when your phone was away? And she goes, honestly, it was good. She goes, I got a lot more work done. And this girl was like, phone was in her hand all the time. And she said, I got a lot more work done. I concentrated more and I wasn't distracted. And I said, good for you. I said, that's great. And I was proud of her for doing it because I knew it was hard, but it was good. And I'm glad. And I'm kind of glad about the phone thing coming around. I think it's going to be tough for teachers and administration and security, to keep them away. But I think in the long run, it's going to force kids to be more social, to have conversations instead of having their eyeballs stuck in a phone and, their thumbs sore from playing games all the time.
You had anticipated my next question was about devices going away next year, and I do agree that let's force some more face-to-face interaction.
Yeah, we don't talk.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk anymore. Like, kids don't know sometimes. Some kids do. I shouldn't classify all of them, but to have a conversation, they have trouble making eye contact. They have trouble like you're bringing up their voice. They just talk to, it's like, pick them up. Let's go, have a conversation. And it's great. And I get the music thing, but I struggle when I go to stores sometimes when the cashiers have their headphones in. I kind of think it's rude.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, I kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that's their phone, their connection to people calling in, and maybe that's how they communicate that way. So, but sometimes I'm just like, really? Like, take those earbuds out, socialize with your customers. And I don't know, that's just how I look at it. But
Well, I think what you also mentioned is going to be hard for administrators and teachers. They're going to have to lead the way too.
yeah,
I walk around, I carry my phone when I'm taking my students to specials. I see other teachers.
Yep.
But I think we have to practice what we preach.
True.
What was your experiences with COVID and remote education?
I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible. Um, I am a very social person. And at the time, it was just me and my girls. And that was a struggle, and I watched my own kids kind of decline socially, because they were bored or they were stuck in their rooms. And I hated that, and teaching PE online is like, holy cow, you got to be kidding. And you have to give the kids the benefit of the doubt that they're doing the workouts and, who knows, but they're only hurting themselves if they didn't. But that was definitely socially and physically a challenge. It was tough. It was tough to get through. And I thank God when we went back to school, I really liked the social contact. Did I love hanging out in my shorts and t-shirt in my own house all day? Sure. But at the same time, I missed that connection with people.
What do you think it did to that generation that went through that?
Well, I have 2 kids of my own that were in the high school when that all went down, and I do think it harmed them a little bit, socially, mentally. But I'm also, I guess, hardcore. Like, okay, move on. We're past it. Put your big girl pants on and go forward. You were not the only person that went through it. The whole world went through it, and you have to, you can mourn a little about what you lost or what you didn't go through and what you suffered, but let's figure out a strategy to go forward now. Learn from it. What can you do differently? That's how I see it.
I couldn't agree more.
Mhm.
Now you're tell me a little bit about Claire and Molly, your 2 children.
I have to say, going through school with them was pretty cool, and then when my name changed back to my maiden name, it was kind of beneficial for them that a lot of people didn't make the connection, that they were my kids, which I am happy for because I wanted them to have their own identity without, Molly would catch a little flack here and there, and, kids were like, your mom's a bleep, and she's like, go tell her that yourself, and that would never happen. So God bless
Exactly.
Molly for throwing it out there. So that was pretty funny. But I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, Mal, I'm not popular with some people, but that's life. You go through it and say, yeah, just like you just did. Go tell her yourself. And they'd be like, oh, no. So, but it was cool going through school with them. And they're now in the adulting phase. And they both have good jobs. Claire works for U of R at Golisano Children's Hospital. And Molly works for the Pittsford Women's Health and Wellness Center. And they're both learning about being adults. And they're doing pretty good at it.
Did one of them used to work at the McDonald's drive-thru?
Molly.
Yes.
Yes, the McDonald's drive-thru that I got out of my car and ran up and scared you at. Yes.
I was like to see Molly. I remember coaching her. The only year I ever coached girls basketball.
Yeah.
That girl could throw in some shots.
Oh,
and I'm
God.
Like, no. Oh, good shot.
Yep. She was a hard worker. Claire was too. Molly was just at a different phase, a few years later, different people. But yeah, she was fun to watch. They both were.
Do you raise them the way you were raised?
I try to. I try to. I think being being divorced kind of puts a little guilt factor in there, so you kind of let some things go. But I always try to emulate what my parents did, and tough love, and you know realize that you got to work through some things, and struggle is part of life, and got to keep on keeping on.
So you mentioned that they're children of divorce,
Yep.
and when that transpired, what was that transformation like for your daughters?
It was tough.
Besides you, I mean, you're the primary.
Yeah, it was tough. They, no kid ever wants their parents to get divorced, and
Mhm.
every kid wants their parents to make up and be a family again. But that just wasn't in the cards. It wasn't how it was meant to be. But they did their best to get through it, and we all did. And I think they're a little bit stronger for it. I think in a weird way, uh, it will someday help their relationship with a spouse or a partner or whatever. Um, so like I said, there's lessons in every life situation. It's what you take away from it is how you determine how things will go for you. So hopefully they're, not better off for it, but they've learned from things that have happened.
And they kept their dad's name, right?
Yes.
Coles.
Yep. Yep.
Moving on to retirement, I've watched a lot of podcasts, and what I've gleaned from a lot of them is people like when they don't have to go to work anymore, but what hurts and they have a challenge with is the loss of relationships.
Yeah.
What do you plan on doing upon retirement and maintaining some of your relationships you've built over the years?
I'm going to do my best to keep those connections, and Andy made a good statement, which still
Andy?
Andy Foreman.
He's a bright guy.
He's a smart man. But he made a statement that has really stuck with me, that we've been going to school for 50 years. It's not just the teaching part of it, but like we start at 5, and we've been going to school for 50 years, and that's a pattern that's all I know. So that's the weird part. And you know, as you get older, your relationships change, but you become more sentimental, about things that you've gone through and people that were there for you. So, you know, I really want to keep those relationships connected. So, your school breaks, so you reach out and say, "Hey, can we go to breakfast, one morning, or grab a coffee or whatever?" So those are things that I definitely, that's my goal, is to try to do that. And Tom, my boyfriend, he knows those those relationships are important. If he's here and I go to school, he's such a gentleman. He always walks me to my car and he says, "Say hi to all our friends," and because he knows, he sees the relationship that I have with my peers and coworkers, and he knows that's important. So
Expand a little bit on your relationship with Tom, because I see him at games. I went saw him at a party.
yeah,
Wonderful guy.
he's a good man.
How'd you meet?
Online.
Online?
Yep. And we went to the B side in Fairport, and we went and saw two guys that sing Beatles songs, and we sat there, and I don't think we heard one Beatles song because we just talked the whole time. And it was funny. Our friend Tim Jackson came in, I think, to check on him, make sure he was okay. He stopped in to say hi.
That was planned probably by the two men.
I think so. Well, I don't think it was planned by Tom. I think Tim was more like, protecting his buddy, and came in and said, "Hey, how's it going? I didn't know you were going to be here." So that was pretty funny. But, and from that first date, we have hit it off, and, he's the best thing that's ever happened to me, and I am excited to retire and live life to the fullest with him.
Is he retired at this point?
He is. He retired in 2017 to take care of his wife, who has passed. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what was his job before he retired?
He worked for Garlock. He
Okay.
was in the engineering department. He finished his 4-year degree at Roberts in like management and operations and stuff like that. And yeah, he's a pretty smart guy.
What do you think are some things that students will remember about you, and what are some things you want them to remember about you?
Some things they'll remember about me is that I was a little tough. My expectations, I like to think that I held to my expectations. I think they'll remember that I was strict about the whole phone thing. Um, and what would I like them to remember? I would like them to remember my strange sense of humor. And I would like them to remember that, you know, if they reached out, that I would help them out as much as I could.
Anything that you think you do differently?
Um, no, I don't think so. I, you know, I guess I'm the type of person that has to be in the situation to see if I would change it, you know. But no, I think I would probably go about things pretty much the same way.
I like that. No regrets.
No, no regrets at all. You know, I did the best that I could do with what I had.
You got many years ahead to do what you want to do
Yeah.
with who you want to do it with.
Yes, sir.
Before we end with a couple last questions, what are some favorites? Let's go. Favorite food for Colleen?
Oh, I am a pizza lover.
Pizza lover?
I love pizza.
Is there a particular restaurant you like to get your pizza from?
Ooh. Well, um, Tom and I have discovered the veggie pizza with a couple of changes from La Familia on Ladder Road.
Okay.
And actually, uh, one of my students had made it one day, and he's like, "Whoa, this really looks good." He goes, "I'm going to remember this one," because we took a couple of vegetables off, but added a couple of different ones and added ricotta cheese, and it was really good.
Now I know you're a connoisseur of coffee. You would coffee.
Coffee.
You would always show up
Sound
to
like
the
you
scores table.
To Troy with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's the best coffee joint and the best flavoring for Colleen?
Whew, I'm a Dunkin' lover.
Okay.
And Larry Minch and I used to always love to drink the butter pecan coffee that they make. That was one of our favorites when we coached together. It was hysterical. It's freezing out. He's drinking iced coffee. I'm drinking hot coffee. But then eventually I became an iced coffee lover. He got me into going back to iced coffee. But yeah, butter pecan. I'm currently drinking a pistachio one, which is pretty good as well. And of course the always all favorite pumpkin when that comes out. And I love to read all the comments about you pumpkin lovers better calm down. It'll come out eventually. But I think Duncan now has it permanently, so that's pretty fun.
You mentioned Larry. I'm going to get to him at the very
Yeah.
end. Did you have a favorite TV show or a binge show that you've watched? Maybe one in the past, but maybe you just don't have time right now to watch.
Love the I don't know, I think it goes back to the whole nursing thing, but I love the medical shows like Chicago Med, and there's
ER.
Transplant. There's some good ones out there. Tom and I are currently watching West Wing.
Yeah.
That's an old one.
Yes.
That's pretty
political show with Martin
yeah.
Sheen.
And I'm not a
Allison
political person,
Janney.
but that show has such sarcasm in it. It's fabulous.
Mhm.
Love it. So
Very
yeah.
good show.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
watching it when it was first out.
Yep.
Let's go to the movie realm. Now, sometimes people have a hard time picking just one. Yeah, maybe you could go one comedy, one drama, one dramedy, whatever you choose.
Shoot.
I mean, I know was your grandma like Patton?
Oh gosh, yeah.
That's an old time. I think it's a black and white.
That is an old one. I'll go back to I love sports ones. Remember the Titans? That's one of my favorite ones. Yeah, there's Titans probably was would be one of my all time favorites. I can't think of the title, but the one with the kid that went to went pro. It was based on a true story.
What sport?
Football.
Blindside.
Blindside. Yeah, that was
Sandra Bullock.
Yes, that was a good one.
True story.
Yeah, yep. I love true stories. I love sports stories. Yeah, those are all good.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Athletic background,
yeah,
Cortland coaching,
yep.
playing. How about a favorite book? Are you much of a reader or reader in the past?
Not a huge reader. That was like one of my weaknesses. In school, my dad could read a book like nobody's job. My mom, she wasn't a big reader, but one of my favorite books was called The Shack. It was a faith-based book, but that was a good book. And I currently just bought um, the book Abby Wambach co-wrote, and I'm trying to think of the name of it, but I can't. But that's like my first book when I retire that I'm going to start to read. Yeah, looking forward to that.
How about a favorite quote?
Oh,
Now you've been talking about a lot of sports stuff.
I don't know if I have a favorite quote per se, but I'll go back to my faith, and I'll say Matthew 19:26. With God, all things are possible.
Oof. Have you hit her? I was going to get to your tattoos in a moment.
Yeah.
Impressive. You're the first guest out of almost 80 that's quoted Bible verse.
Yeah.
I like it. If you could go back and have dinner with anybody from history, relative-wise or historical figure, who would it be and why?
I would probably say my grandmother.
Is that the one that turned blind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Why? Because she was inspiring, and I would just, maybe love one more conversation with her, ask her what heaven's like, how's things going, if she's seeing everything that is happening down here. Just like questions like that. Yeah.
Do you think she's got her sight back in heaven?
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yep, I do. Yeah.
I think she's looking down upon you.
I hope so.
Now, I was going to say your tattoos. Give me a little bit of insight as to what they are and your meaning behind them. If you can, you don't have to.
Oh no. I'm a firm believer that, and I tell my girls this too, because, they started to get their own tattoos, and I said, just remember, they're lifelong, because taking them off hurts. So whatever you choose to get, choose wisely and make sure it has a purpose. Don't just get like a dog's face because you thought it was cute. Like, because you got to explain that, So all of mine have purpose. My first one was the shamrock. I'm 100% Irish, and I love that I'm 100% Irish. So that was my first one.
What was your maiden name?
My maiden name is Conley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
So then I have a smiley face in my shamrock because I'm happy. I pretty much think I'm generally happy. You are. And then I have, when my kids were little, well, under my shamrock says in Gaelic, forever love. Like, just forever love people, love life, and on this side I have my kids' 2 feet and their names in it. And then around it, I have the Irish symbol, which is called a collada, which is love, friendship, and loyalty. And this is my dad's ring, actually. And I have that on my ankle, and that's pretty important to me. And then it says circle of life, circle of love. It's around my kids' feet. And then this one up here is a Celtic cross, where it says, faith is my strength is my faith. I'm a firm believer in that one. That one I just said is Matthew 19:26. You can do all things with God. This one over here is part of the Serenity Prayer, Serenity, Courage, Wisdom, because I think all those things are important.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one here is a semicolon. And back then it was the Semicolon Project for Suicide Prevention. And then I have the arrow. Look it up. Always look up. Somebody's going to help you. And
Wow.
this one here is my 4-leaf clover. Hope, faith, love, luck.
Love them all.
Thank you.
And even if I was critical, I wouldn't have said it. But no, just such meaning.
They do. They
Posted on your
each
body.
are important for me. Each have very special meaning.
Now, mentioned earlier, man was taken much too young.
Very much.
My friend, but even closer friend to you, Larry Mensch. Tell us a little bit about Larry and what he meant to you.
He was a good man. He was a straight shooter, and I loved working with him, coaching with him, talking with him. He helped me a lot because he was honest. He didn't sugarcoat anything, and that's, what I loved about him. And I think I learned a lot from him to not sugarcoat things with kids. Be honest. There's no point of not being honest or sugarcoating things because they're not going to get anything from it. And he believed in integrity and respect, and he got it. Those kids loved him or hated him, and most of them loved him. And if they hated him, it's because they didn't realize how much he loved them, and how much he wanted them to succeed. And he and his wife were blessings in my life at tough times, and I am honored to coach with him, and I'm honored to still being connected with his wife. And last night was scholarship night, and that was tough for her, but she is a brave soul, and she got through it. And she's a tough woman. And we joked because we walked. She lives in the same complex as me, and we walked last night or before the thing, and she's like, "It's going to be tough." And I teased her. I said, "Don't worry, Larry's going to be watching over you." I said he'll have his hand on you, and she did good. She did well, and I can't say anything about Larry other than he's a good person, and I am blessed to have known him.
He's sorely missed,
Yeah.
and he's looking down upon you and his family.
Yeah, I hope so.
And he was gone much too young.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing his memory to us.
Of course.
Now, to end on a good note,
Yeah.
the budget at the Big H podcast
Ooh.
isn't good yet because Mallory's going through all these grad parties. So,
Yeah.
But I've got you a sticker, and it calls the Big H podcast.
Awesome.
So that's one
Thank
sort
you.
of merch that I
Love
would
it.
like you to have.
Put that right on my car.
You don't have to put it on your car.
Oh, I love stickers on my car.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can do with it what you want.
Proud to represent,
But I'm glad having you on the Big Edge podcast. There's a lot of history that I learned from you, and I think our viewers are going to learn a lot from it. I wish you the best of luck in retirement.
I appreciate you.
You're
having
deserving.
me come on this.
Oh,
This was
my
great.
pleasure. And your podcast, Cool, Colleen Conley. You got a lot of cooler things ahead of you. And I just appreciate all the viewers joining me on the Big H podcast. You can see me on X, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, any of those Apple Podcasts, any of those places.
Nice.
And we'll see you real soon.
Yes, I appreciate everything. You are a wonderful friend. Your family is great, and thanks for everything.
Well, I'm going to end one thing. I have a sister who has MS, and she was a former jock and everything. You remind me a lot of her.
Oh, cool.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
God bless you,
You
Joe,
too.
and God bless you,
Thanks.
Colleen.
Take care.
The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style. From the highs to the lows, every story just explodes. Mike's got questions on the go, diving deep from head to toe. Every week the guests align, sharing moments so divine. Stay with us, the pace is fine. Every episode you'll find